Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast. Talk all things comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today we are talking WandaVision episode 8. I'm Blade O'Neill.
I'm Ken Brown.
I thought you froze there for a second. Before we dive into it all, yes. Before we dive into it all, I just want to thank you, of course, for taking the time to listen, like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate all of your Nightcap Chat patronage. And without you, we wouldn't be here. If you do enjoy the podcast, let us know on social media, share it, tell your friends about it. That's how we grow and bring you bigger, better things, right?
Absolutely. And that's too. We can't do it without any of our listeners out there. And it's fun to see Blade's been sharing statistics with us, and the numbers keep growing, and we can't grow without you guys listening. And been pretty awesome to be doing this now for almost a year and a half now, right? At least.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're coming up on episode 100 in like 9 weeks.
That's crazy. It's almost 2 years then. Because 104 episodes would be 2 years worth of episodes already.
You are right, because 52 weeks in a year, and we started in April. And it's March, so yes, that makes sense. Oh my gosh, yes, that's going to be our 2-year anniversary. That's crazy. I didn't even realize
that's super crazy. Yeah, I think it's like 2020 was just like a snap, like the Thanos snap, and we just like lost the whole year.
Yeah, it was like we were there, but we were also blipped, and now we're back.
Yes,
but we're not. I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on. So something I like to at least occasionally check on, and I don't think we do it nearly enough, is what's happening in the world of drawn to comics and comic books.
Yes, man, dude. Well, DC's Infinite Frontiers starts this week, and they just ended Future State for the month of January and February, where they took a sneak peek in multiple timelines coming up in the DC universe. And now this week's going to start the first after DC Dark Knight's Death Metal, and a more or less a soft DC reset of bringing in new characters, bringing in new timelines, bringing in the multiverse as an option for DC storytelling now. And so pretty much now everything in the DC universe that's ever existed can be accessible. And it's kind of a way to, I guess, reset themselves, but then also bring back the stuff that was cool that they can't touch on because they kind of buried it after so many crises over the years.
Did I come across something from that event where did like a Batman die or something?
Yeah, Bruce Wayne, the Dark Detective.
Or something?
Yeah, Bruce Wayne was technically assassinated, and he survived. And so he said, okay. Yeah, exactly. And it's so he says, well, now that everybody thinks that, well, the world thinks that Bruce Wayne's dead, that's kind of an advantage, and I can just be more of Batman without Bruce Wayne. And so there was a little 4 issues, I think it was, on the Dark Detective, where it was this guy that's kind of they've done martial law against all vigilantes.
Okay.
And since Batman was a vigilante, Bruce Wayne was connected to Batman, so Bruce Wayne was kind of caught in the crossfire of not giving up Batman. Yeah. And so he kind of like, okay, he escaped after being hunted down, and then more or less pretend like that the whole world's like that, okay, Bruce Wayne's dead. And then just he just went on being Batman. I think, is that the story you're thinking of on that?
It was just one of those random panels you kind of just come across on social media, and I thought I had to do with this event, but I could be wrong. Like I thought maybe it wasn't even Batman, but I feel like there was like multiple instances of the character. I feel like there was like a yellow background and something was, I can't even describe it. I don't know. I thought maybe there was something a little more in the forefront of what was actually happening.
With all due respect to DC fans that love the stuff, I was not as pleased and interested as I hoped to be.
Yeah.
And in the Red X thing, that was kind of fascinating to me in Teen Titans. Who's Red X going to be?
Yeah.
And in their little 2-issue sneak peek of Red X as a character,
Yeah.
it seems like he died off at the end of the second part of that story.
Okay.
And I go, if I know that he's going to sacrifice himself to be the hero to be taken out of the story, it's going to be fun to see him develop, but you already know his ending. And that kind of, takes away, I think, from the fact of you introduce this new character, but you already know the fate of the new character even before you develop this origin of him. Mm-hmm. And so that was to me like a little bit of a letdown towards what I was expecting of like, cool, dude, this character's awesome. I can't wait to read more.
Yeah.
And, you see that he sacrificed himself to save everybody else. That's cool, but you know this character is going to demise already.
Yeah, after all that, and I can all that hype and no payoff, and that is unfortunate. Anything else going on?
Yeah, I'm sure you heard about Heroes Reborn starting up again too. The Phoenix saga going on in Avengers. They're kind of doing a Phoenix trial of Warriors trial. And the Phoenix Force is kind of having 2 different Avengers match up with each other as a process of elimination. And one of them at the end is going to be the new Phoenix. And that's supposedly leading to Heroes Reborn. And they just revealed that Thor is the daughter of the Phoenix Force, where Odin's the father. And I'm kind of going, what is going on with that? And as I said too, is like, I see why a lot of people right now are kind of like trying out like Image and IDW and Aftershock and AWA to try to find some new stuff, because there's a lot of things that are Marvel and DC they're taking risks with their characters, but they're rewriting history. Like, did you see the end of King in Black #4 that came out? I think a couple weeks back.
What was no? But I mean, was the cover Captain America and whatever his name is, Null?
Null. I'm pretty sure it was them fighting against Null on the cover of #4 too, as well. Okay. But at the end of the story, Donny Cates revealed that the Captain Universe is a symbiote. The Captain Universe Force is a oh my gosh, not a reject, but a rebel, or a what's the word I'm thinking of, where it defects from the rest of the symbiote species.
Yeah.
And it evolved into the symbiote of light rather than the symbiote of darkness, is what Null created. And so it travels the universe, saving the universe. Because symbiotes, Bendis determined that when they called them Clintar, the planet Clintar, which is the planet that they trapped Null in, the symbiotes trapped Null in to kind of keep him locked up for all those years. Yeah. Is they revealed that symbiotes are altruistically good until corrupted by their host. And it's what Donny Cates kind of brought in is that the symbiote god Null was an evil god, and the symbiotes overthrew him and trapped him inside of their own prison. And so there was a cult of Carnage at first, but it was actually the cult of Null. And he's been trying to find ways to get enough symbiotes to allow him to overthrow the symbiotes that have entrapped him and free him. And that's what Absolute Carnage is, and that's what led into King of Black, because after Absolute Carnage was over, it gave enough strength for Null to start heading towards Earth with an army of symbiotes that were his army of symbiotes again. But now in this issue, Eddie Brock was stripped of his symbiote early in the story in King of Black, and he was fighting for his life because of how traumatic it was to his body. And Dylan, which is Eddie Brock's son, is some kind of medium where he can communicate with any symbiote more or less psychologically in the world. And so he's kind of a key factor in here. And Eddie's kind of in this purgatory during the Venom crossovers of King and Black, and they try to overthrow Null from inside of the more or less the symbiote purgatory, because they realize like they're in his realm now in death because he was their god. And they try to go and overthrow him from the inside, and Null sees him coming and kills Eddie again from the inside, from the inside of the symbiote, I guess you would say spirituality, I guess is the best way to put it. And at the end of King of Black #4, this white force comes in and merges with Eddie Brock, and it turns out it's the Captain Universe force. And so now Eddie Brock's Captain Universe going into the next issue of King of Black. And so part of me is like, that's really super clever. I don't know if Donny Cates thought this through as much as he actually appears to have, being a big symbiote fan myself. I'm sure you guys heard me talk about how symbiote Spider-Man is what got me into comics. But I'm a little bit frustrated that now Micronauts #8 is considered the first appearance of symbiote, now that the Captain Universe force is a symbiote. Do you know what I mean? So
because of a retcon.
Yeah, because of a retcon. And Donny Cates has been doing these, like, I want to say halfway amazing, but halfway frustrating retcons that make sense because he does his research and he finds ways to make things work that have never been thought of before. Like even Silver Surfer Black, went into contact with Null, and Null gave him a symbiote. Took more or less tainted Silver Surfer with a symbiote, and that's where Silver Surfer Black comes from. And this god of the symbiotes is pretty much touched on pretty much anything that's got a symbiotic relationship, it feels like, in the Marvel Universe. But the thing I think is kind of fascinating as to, like, okay, I don't know if Cates thought this far into it, but logically, that, of course, the Captain Universe force would seek out Eddie Brock, because there was a point in the late 80s where the Captain Universe suit merged with Spider-Man too. And I guess, I don't know if Donny Cates has confirmed this or anything, but I'd love to ask him at a convention. Is that what gave you the idea that it's okay for Captain Universe to merge with Eddie Brock too, because they shared the same symbiote? And if the Captain Universe force you're saying is a symbiote that became rogue, technically it would be able to recognize that Eddie Brock had a symbiote in his system, even though the symbiote was purged out of him, the same way Peter Parker didn't have the symbiote anymore either when he was merged with Captain Universe.
Let me ask you this, because the timeline is a little confusing, and I'm sure you just know the answer. Did Peter Parker Captain Universe happen first, or did Black Suit Spider-Man happen first?
Black Suit Spider-Man happened first.
Okay, so he did. Okay, so on a technicality in this newly established canon, we'll call it. So
wait a minute, are you talking about Peter Parker? You asked me if Spider-Man had the Captain Universe suit or the symbiote first, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, he had the symbiote first, and the Captain Universe suit came after he had the symbiote.
So that was technically his second symbiote suit. Now, according to what's being established. Okay, interesting. I guess we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
To me, the Captain Universe power is a power, and that's always what it was. And I thought he was kind of like his own character there for a little bit too.
Yeah, he could more or less hop from. Remember, they did the Captain Universe crossovers one year, like where Hulk had it, X-23 had it, Daredevil got it. They did a couple, like 4 or 5 one-shots with different people having the Captain Universe power.
Yeah,
and it is kind of like it needs a host, I guess, to bond with, but it is a force of nature. I always thought of it as. But now, like, Donny Cates has turned it from a force of nature into a rogue symbiote that's rebelled against Null and became more or less the nullifier of Null, which is kind of, I guess, how they're going to end this whole King of Black story. Yeah. And the big question now is, it shows, like in Venom #200 on the cover of Marvel Previews, that it looks like Venom's now King of the Symbiotes. So I don't know if that's Eddie, if that's his son Dylan, and then Eddie's going to remain the permanent Captain Universe, or if the Captain Universe leaves Eddie, does that make him dead again? Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of questions that they need to answer still in the last couple of issues of King of Black here.
I don't like what you said about Thor and the Phoenix. And
that's kind of disturbing.
Yes. And there's something really inappropriate I want to say about Odin, but we'll just leave it at that. And you guys can use your imagination. But I wonder if they're doing that because of their plans for the movies.
Maybe. I can totally see that.
Maybe. And will that bother me? It won't bother me if we get a proper Dark Phoenix movie,
Yes.
or Disney Plus show, or whatever they want to do. Just the story, a live action adaptation of the story. Anyway, before we get off on a whole nother tangent about that, because I'm sure me and you can complain about the previous incarnations of the Phoenix Force for
yes.
hours. That's all at Drona Comics. Drona Comics is in Glendale. I know we talk about that all the time, but I just want to acknowledge, a lot of you guys are in Arizona because we're in Arizona. Drona Comics is in Arizona. Your customers are in Arizona. I'm in Arizona. We have listeners in different states and different countries. If you make it down to Arizona, how many times am I going to say Arizona in this episode? You should definitely go down to Drona Comics in Glendale. It's probably my favorite comic shop ever, and
thank you.
I'm not just saying that. And can I say where I shopped? Are you okay with?
Yeah, that's fine.
Mentioning it. My favorite comic shop in New York, because I didn't live in Manhattan. I lived in Queens. So in Queens there was a comic shop called Royal Comics and Collectibles, I believe it was called. And that's where we ended up like shopping the most as far as Queens go. And I feel pretty validated picking that because I don't know, it was like a year or two back. My wife showed me a picture of Joe Quesada buying comics, and he was there. And I was like,
that's
oh,
awesome.
Man, I used to go there all the time, and he was just casually buying comics, and I was like, that's cool, I did a good job picking a shop,
I would have loved growing up in New York around the world of comics because you probably, if you find the right comic shops out there, you're going to see the creators that create all of our favorite comics stopping in. Like you said, Joe Quesada had his shop, and imagine running into John Romita Jr.
Wow.
Walking into a comic shop, or Todd lives out here in Ahwatukee now.
Yeah.
But trying to think of like other famous New York artists that were just in-house artists, like I guess more or less in the 70s and 80s of seeing John Byrne walk in, or John Romita Sr. walking in, or even Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko walking in to check out, hey, this is what my comics look like. How are my comics selling, man? Are they doing good here, or are they kind of tanking right now? It's like, oh no, Mr. Ghost, Spider-Man's a winner. You know what I mean? And stuff like that.
Isn't it crazier that like it's, and I don't want to call it a step further, but it's expanded so much that it's not just the comic creators, it's the people it's the celebrities who are bringing them to life. Will show up to Midtown or wherever. It's like, oh, Charlie Cox is here buying Daredevil comics.
Yes. What store did Cumberbatch show up and start more or less working behind the counter? Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. I did say that. I don't know if you showed it to me.
So awesome.
Or I want to say that was in California. I could be wrong. No.
Okay. No. I thought it was New York, but maybe I'm wrong.
It has to be New York because Doctor Strange lives in New York.
Yeah, and I think it was during filming of one of the movies too, as well.
I saw that clip. I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know which comic store that was, but I saw that clip. But yeah, I mean, how cool would that be? Like they're filming.
Dude, I would be freaking out. Like, oh my God, Benedict Cumberbatch was walking in and autographs for customers and ring up comics for me. Yeah, Benedict, you can come and ring some stuff up.
Yep.
That'd be like a dream come true.
Hopefully Arizona's next there. And of course, just before we dive into WandaVision, like my favorite thing about comic shops is the people working there. Because anybody can just sell comics. Like I can have a storefront and I could sell comics, but like when you go in and like the people are cool, the people care, they're friendly, like that makes all the difference in the world. And like I've been your customer for 13 years.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
You actually came in the first shop. I kind of remember you walking into the first shop with the bars on the windows. Mm-hmm. So it's like used to be a bail bonds, like a location. Do you remember that? Like where there was the bars on the windows and it was like a closet or a hallway, it looked like.
Yeah. It
was like you can probably reach across with your arms like wingspan and touch both walls almost.
Yep.
It's like 500 square feet, the original store. And it was crazy. People would be the register was right by the front door, so people would sometimes there'd be a line to ring out. and we just socialize and talk by the front door. And sometimes people like that, oh, excuse me, I don't mean to bump you when you walk in. Just I can have a conversation with you from one corner of the store, and you have the back corner of the store, and answer questions for you. It was so that first store was magical to me. I kind of miss that still to this day, because it felt like you were just hanging out at the house and just hanging out with your friends and talking comics.
Yeah, I get that, but it's been cool to just to see the growth. You know, like you expanded the store and all that. So like, that's positive, and you know, I think that's awesome. But I mean, it's to me, it's the people that makes a store. It's you know, being remembered. It's, you know, it's good service, you know, friendly service, and you know, it was you guys. Like I would go there to see you and Susan and Kayla. And then you hired people, and I was like, I don't want to talk to other people. But then you did, and I mean that in the most respectful way. But like,
thank you.
You won me over, because everyone you picked has been awesome. Like I love everybody. Like they're all great. I don't want to even start naming people, because I don't want to forget someone. Okay.
Yeah.
They've all been great. So like, and that's why I think Toronto Comics is awesome.
Yeah, our staff right now is like probably the most golden age era of the staff we've had since we've started. I mean, everyone's been special in their own way, but this group we have right now, with Jason being my store manager, you know, and Robert, who is pretty much, man, dude, he takes ownership in everything he does. Super, super, super awesome with everything he does. And Ashley and Dustin and Chris, and you know, AC. I mean, AC is like a ray of light every time you say hi to him, man.
100%.
He's wow, dude. It's like I could just, you can absorb awesomeness off of him just by standing next to him. It's just really, really cool to see this group of employees that we have that just make our store magical and stays within that vision that I've always wanted, because I was always afraid if we grew too much, I don't want to lose the importance of what it means to be that small hometown store feel.
Yep.
And I never want to lose that, no matter how big we get.
Yep, and I think that's great, and that's the eye on the prize to me, in my eyes, you know, and everything I've experienced, you know, growing up in the East Coast and moving out here and stuff, and I think that's great, and you guys are doing a great job. But yeah, anyway, I don't know why we got into that, but I
no, thanks for the love. I greatly appreciate it.
No, thank you guys. So WandaVision episode 8, this is the penultimate episode.
Yes.
Like, there's only one more, and that's it. I don't know how I feel. I don't even know what to say.
Man, dude, I keep on getting more and more invested in all these characters every episode. I mean, you think that you're kind of going, okay, is this going to start getting dry? And I've not felt bored once watching this TV show.
Well, and I think Kevin Feige said, like, we don't need to, we're not, we don't have to adhere to traditional TV platforms. Like, we don't have to commit to 13 1-hour episodes. We can just do what we want as much as we need to, and that's it, because these things can drag on. We saw that with the Netflix shows, right? I mean, they're good, but some of them are like, all right, this is getting a little boring. That hasn't happened in WandaVision.
Not at all.
Point.
Yeah, as I said too, the way that they're executing this is, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. I mean, as much as I loved Mandalorian, there were some points in the episodes where not every episode was as entertaining as the next or as the last. I mean, Mandalorian hit nails. I mean, anybody I know, I'm going to get reamed for saying that Mandalorian had some boring episodes, but WandaVision, I don't care what anybody says, dude, there was engagement through every moment of every episode that you had to pay attention to see what was going on. And I think now, like, this episode 8 kind of like opened the Pandora's box, so we see a lot of what's actually happening here. I mean, I love even the explanations of Agatha walking her through her own history, so we understand why they did the TV show genres from episode to episode. To me, that was golden, because I thought it was just maybe a time lapse thing that she was trying to, you know, get to a certain goal by going back in time to try to recreate and rethink her thoughts. But those were, the TV shows were her safe place growing up. And she liked all eras of TV shows. And that was, like, to me, like, golden, you know, because growing up, like, same thing with me too, dude. I wasn't alive when 66 Batman aired, but I loved it. I wasn't alive when Andy Griffith's show was on the air, but I loved it. I wasn't alive when Dick Van Dyke's show was on the air, but I loved it. Gilligan's Island, I mean, I can totally relate to that was her safe place. And she was living in a war zone. And her family found that safe place through television. And to me, that was magical, man, because, growing up in the 70s and 80s and 90s, I don't remember many of the 90s TV shows because I was either working or in college at the time. So I missed a lot of, her Asian. I'd study was super, super relatable and super, super cool.
You cut out when you said you missed a lot of the 90s.
Okay, I apologize. It was just seemed like I didn't see much of the 90s TV shows because I was either working or going to school. But so I can't relate too much to like Malcolm in the Middle and some of those. But all the other shows that she watched with her family, no matter how much attention in the background there, but her family used television to escape into a world that was safe for them. And that's kind of what she's doing inside of her own world in WandaVision right now, which I thought was epic.
Yeah, you like, obviously I saw the episode and I understood all that, but like I just got chills again just listening to you kind of describe it, because it is so heartbreaking. Like she has gone through so much, and now this kind of proves that like it hasn't just even been like the last few years. I mean, like she's been dealing with so much her entire life. Like any person would just snap, and like that's really what's happening here. Like she just was watching TV and that Stark bomb went off and killed her parents, and Pietro was killed, Vision was killed. After she killed him, he got brought back to life just to be killed again, which is even worse.
Yes, she's had like a lot of dark experiences in her life, and try to maintain. It was what I kind of enjoyed too was Vision bringing her out of that darkness when they were watching Malcolm in the Middle.
Everyone is freaking out over that and that line where he says, "What is grief, but love enduring?" Right, something like that.
Yeah, like what's grief, but if not for love enduring, or something like that.
Yeah. What a beautiful piece of poetry.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was right there. Scarlet Witch getting hook, line, and sinker. That
I love persevere.
There's hope for
persevere.
Yes. Yeah, and that was such a magical moment for seeing Scarlet Witch feel that she has that lifelong bond with the Vision that she can depend on, that no matter how dark things get, that there is someone there for her. And it kind of shocked me when they went into Westview and she found that house. Like the letter still kind of puzzles me a little bit. Now, that was on the car seat when she drove into Westview. Mm-hmm. Vision left that letter before he died, or I don't quite get where that letter came from.
I don't think it was just like a letter before he died thing. What that was I think he was preparing a gift for her for like when this is over, we're gonna settle down and do this. And Infinity War happened, so it's something that she found. He was planning, because he had that plot and the house was starting to be built. There was a foundation and they started to build it. So this was a present that Vision was working on so they can settle down and just live a quote, a normal life or whatever, but just have their house and be together. But he got killed. So, I mean, talk about rip your heart out.
Oh my gosh, dude. And then just go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't even know what I was gonna say. Just like my wife was like weeping, like when her parents got killed, and like that, like it was. This episode was just so like I'm like getting a little teary eyed just sitting here thinking about it, because
it was powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, 110% powerful. It's like I don't see Scarlet Witch going dark after that episode either. And I mean, I was kind of like concerned in previous episodes that we're seeing Scarlet Witch turn into a villain. Mm-hmm. And after that episode, you really don't see her becoming a villain. She's just trying to cope with everything that she's had to go through. And even like this, she had the opportunity to take the vision, like that whole thing too, when she walked through the door and you saw what really happened on the video.
Yes.
That was the director. Oh my gosh, dude. I always forget this guy's name again. Hayward. Yeah. Director Hayward fixed that video to make it look like Scarlet Witch was the bad guy.
Dude, you know how long it took me to realize that? Because she left. She left, and I was like, well, she took the body, and she kept going. And then I was like, oh, what happened? She took the body. And then she did the thing where she makes his spirit appear, and I was so confused. I was like, but she took the body. And I thought about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, she
never took the body.
Yes, they never even showed it. They show her running up on it, and it cuts out, and he says she took the body. But he was full of it. He was lying, and it tricked me too.
But I know what you mean, though. It was like it was like I said too. It's like, wait a minute, dude. He set her up again. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying too, I don't know who this guy's going to become, Hayward, at the end of this. But I mean, it's obviously from Vision Quest, the West Coast Avengers story. Uh-huh. There was a person that was trying to manipulate Scarlet Witch to get her powers, not the Vision. Mm-hmm. So I said too, I mean, this whole Ultron theory is starting to make a whole lot more sense. Mm-hmm. Of that. You know, I mean, they made him, and it's more or less it shouldn't be Ultron, and more or less as the fact of they're trying to make weaponized Vision. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what he brought her in for. He wanted her to activate the Vision and make him what he was again, and then try to duplicate whatever it is that she did into, I almost want to say, mass production. I might be wrong. Mm-hmm. But it seems like that he wants that technology to manipulate on his own. Yeah, and who knows for who or for what, you know, for what motivations. But it seems like he wants to be the head of that division to bring back, I hate that rhyme there, that pun, but he wants to lead the division to bring back Vision.
Yeah. Yeah. And because of that, I'm starting to think that it's just as simple as that. Like he's only doing that. He's not Ultron or some big twist. And like this was the whole nefarious thing was weaponizing the Vision, which makes sense, you know, given everything kind of going on there. Lance was really excited to participate in this episode, but I'm going to read it to you. This is going off of what you've been saying with the whole West Coast Avengers 45 thing. So it's more than just this white Vision thing. Like we know what that is. So they reconstructed him, were able to keep and know people, but he didn't have that same connection to Wanda, right? And obviously that's what's happening. And we saw that with the soul, which I should probably bring up. Anyway, so I lost my place. That he had no emotional state. And in the comic, Wanda asked Wonder Man if he could have his memories placed into the Vision, and he wouldn't. And she got mad at him and flew off into outer space. That same comic, Wanda has a nanny come over to the house to watch her kids, and the nanny went to the room and couldn't find them. Also, there's a flashback during Wonder Man's explaining of why he didn't want to help Wanda and his origin story, and they do a flashback of him working with Baron Zemo to defeat the Avengers, which is the bad guy in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it wouldn't be surprising if this episode coming up, her kids go missing, and we have Zemo as an after the credits scene or somehow involved in the creation of the White Vision.
That would be awesome. I mean, I could totally see that linked too as well, because they're obviously setting up other TV shows and obviously the Doctor Strange movie as well, because Scarlet Witch has already been confirmed to be in the next Doctor Strange movie. Yep. And also they're doing the Spider-Man No Way Home. Is that what they called it that I heard?
No Way Home, yes. After we got 3 fake titles, which I'm wondering what the symbolism is there, because there were specifically 3 fake titles that they gave us.
Oh, wow. Yes. Three different Spider-Mans, right?
Yep. I don't know, because they for no reason they gave us 3 titles and we're like, just kidding. They did
How
it for
fun.
a very specific reason.
Yes. How fun would it be if it's like that when he's in the different realities of different movies, that it's the 3 different titles for whatever reality he visits. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
It's like the opening, like when he goes into each reality, it starts with the opening credits of him showing up in that reality. And it has the name of the 3 different realities each time he visits a different reality before each movie. That would be hilarious.
That is pretty funny.
But with what Scarlet Witch did in this episode with creating the Vision out of her own magic, I clearly know I might be completely wrong, because I've been wrong on a lot of things during this whole TV series going forward, or going past and going forward. But I truly believe that what she created, the essence of the Vision, when that robot comes in, she's going to find a way to transfer what she created into the Vision. So Wonder Man has nothing to do with what's going on here.
Yeah.
And like that, I understand the whole idea of Simon Williams, because in that story, Simon Williams refused to give his mind pattern back to the Vision because he was in love with Scarlet Witch. And he feels that Vision got all of the benefits of being married to Scarlet Witch that he should have had, but he was dead for all those years. And when he was resurrected, now you're asking to have a robot be the replacement for the real deal? No way, no how. I'm sorry, I can't do it. It's too emotionally crushing to me that you'll choose having a robot, real deal, who is me, Simon Williams. And so, I mean, I don't know if they're going to take on that route. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it will, because obviously they showed Scarlet Witch her love for the Vision is strong. She can use her own magical power to create a construct of him. I think once that Vision robot enters into the Hex, she'll transfer that essence into the Vision, or somehow the Vision himself will stop that robot Vision from killing her by merging into him and taking control over him and becoming the new Vision.
I think you're 100% right. And it's exactly what I wanted to bring up was watching her create this essence of Vision, or whatever you want to call it. It was very the essence of Simon Williams in the Vision body, except taking out the
they had to change
Williams factor. And that's fine, because quite frankly, it's confusing. And
it is.
Even as someone who reads comic books, I don't know that I even fully understand the Simon Williams Vision everything, because I do know the whole thing, like putting him in the body and blah, blah, blah. But it is confusing.
Yes.
100%. And is that why they always cut out Simon Williams out of everything that they've almost put him in? Maybe.
Yeah. It's taken a big leap of faith for moviegoers to not feel like that's too far-fetched. Do you know what I mean? And especially when they already developed that Jarvis is the original AI for Vision. Yes. And Jarvis is technically the replacement for Simon Williams. And there was a Jarvis AI before the Vision died. And, is the Jarvis AI going to be jealous because, this new version that she created is going to be, no, it's like, that's just logically not going to make any sense. So let's just stick with the Jarvis AI being recreated as a soul that Scarlet Witch created out of her chaos magic, which is what they establish is like, it's not supposed to exist, but Scarlet Witch is the first witch to exhibit the ability to harness chaos magic.
And to the general audience, what are you going to do? Like, oh, this is Vision, but it's not only Vision, he's also Jarvis, but he's also Simon Williams. So what? Yeah. It's like she's in love with Simon Williams, but he's also the Vision. So like it's just too much, and it's fine. Like I'm usually not a fan of changes, but like it
works in their universe. It's like the Ultimates universe. Like the Ultimate storyline of comics is supposed to be a reflection of the 616 universe, but it's not exactly the 616 universe. It has its own stage of events or chain of events that took place. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe has created their own chain of events that are taking place. As long as it stays within their own storytelling, it's okay.
Yeah, like you mean like Civil War happening before the Infinity Gauntlet story?
Absolutely. It's its own chain of events in the cinematic universe.
Yeah. And it took me a while to like accept things like that, because I would always be like, no, Civil War doesn't have to be like, we have 70 years of storytelling. Like, it's fine. Like, we're just this is its own universe, and we're getting, story adaptations of stories we love. They just may be a little different, out of order, but it's still the essence for the most part is there. And I think
we're seeing echoes.
I think that's what Marvel's doing really well,
Yeah. And as long as I believe, like, if they stay in their own continuity, then like their own rules of continuity, then it's fine. It's just a different story tell of characters that we love.
So there's something else that I think has been set up that I think nobody is. I'm not saying we have to freak out about it, but I think it's really cool. I think this is setting up a lot of things. Like,
absolutely,
you said Doctor Strange.
Yes.
You said Spider-Man, and sure, like we get that, and we know that this is going to set up a lot for Phase 4 just with this multiverse stuff. But this is, especially this episode, is the first step toward, I don't even know what to call it, like the horror characters, because we're now accepting, we have this witch flashback in Salem, and witches and
the Marvel Monsterverse.
Yes, thank you. Like all the stuff like that, because we know Moon Knight's coming up, right?
Yes,
he's got some really weird ancient Egyptian god power thing. Whatever it is, like I won't even pretend that I've read Moon Knight comics, who I haven't.
The god knows you, right?
Yeah, this sets up not only stuff like that, but like the whole thing with witches. Like we know Blade's coming up, like maybe Ghost Rider. We still don't know if Mephisto's going to appear in the last episode. This is laying the groundwork for all of that. So that's Moon Knight, Blade, Ghost Rider, vampires, probably, right? Like how that's exciting. Like I don't think people realize, like that's what we're setting that up right now with Agatha Harkness, which also, by the way, what a great job they're doing handling that character.
Absolutely.
Was it Catherine Hahn or whatever her name is? I'm saying whatever her name is, but she's been phenomenal in this role. And like, I never thought I would care about Agatha Harkness showing up. Like, I'm sure you listened to a few episodes before and you brought her up, and I was like, who is Agatha Harkness? And I had to Google it, and I was like, oh, that old lady who was watching Little Richards in that one comic I read, when I didn't even realize like who this like D-list character was. What a great job Marvel does with these characters. I showed you right last weekend. I bought an Agatha Harkness shirt. It's her Bewitched style character, and it says Agatha all along, because that song is awesome. I never thought, like you told me a year ago, you're going to buy an Agatha Harkness t-shirt and you're going to be excited. I would have been like, who is Agatha Harkness? Because I wouldn't have even remembered. That's astounding. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's what I love about the MCU and what they've been doing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, they did the same thing with Star-Lord and Groot and Rocket Raccoon.
Absolutely right.
They took these D-lister, Gamora, Nebula, like all these, even Drax. Dude, no one said, oh yeah, Drax is my favorite character. I mean, I don't think I heard anybody say that before Galaxy became.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And to elevate these characters that are not Spider-Man, are not Captain America, that are not Iron Man, that is not Wolverine, to the levels of being more or less fan favorites. I mean, Chris Pratt was a perfect choice because, on Parks and Rec, he was just lovable Andy. Do you know what I mean?
What do you know?
But to bring over lovable Andy into being Star-Lord is awesome.
No. Let me say this, because I used to hate Chris Pratt because of Parks and Rec. I love him now.
Really?
I have repented. Chris Pratt is awesome. He's a great guy. I hated him on Parks and Rec.
Really?
He was so stupid.
But isn't that what Star-Lord is, though?
What is it?
Yes.
It is now.
Yes, but Star-Lord is Andy from Parks and Rec. Do you know what I mean? Chris Pratt showed his range to me inside the Jurassic movies.
You are you are correct, but I don't accept it. You're right, but I don't accept that as Andy because I hate Andy in Parks and Rec.
And I guess what it is too is like I watched Guardians of the Galaxy before Parks and Rec, and so I had appreciation for Chris Pratt as Star-Lord before Chris Pratt as Andy.
Oh, that's not what happened to me. I watched Parks and Rec, and I was like,
yeah, so I can see you not liking, Parks and Rec because he's not supposed to be that likable. He's kind of a d-bag in Parks and Rec that became a good guy by the time it was. Because when he first started, he was like Joe Schmo loser inside of Parks and Rec, but then he started, changing as the show went and started getting a focus. Ron becoming like his father figure was absolutely an amazing storyteller to kind of raise Andy out of his childish ways, kind of growing him up in the show.
Okay, I'm just full disclosure. I think a lot of my hate for Andy in Andy is the name of the character in Parks and Rec.
Yes, isn't it Andy? Wasn't his name?
Yes. I had a crush on Aubrey Plaza's character.
Oh, that's why.
And the fact that they ended up together, I was like, no. I'm like she's smart and she's good looking and she's weird, and Andy's just an idiot. Like what was the connect? Like I was so mad. I was mad the whole time. I did.
But he's the one that brought Aubrey Plaza out of her dark place, though, too.
Okay, because that's fine, but I was jealous, Ken. Okay.
Yes, I know. I totally understand. Aubrey Plaza was awesome in that show. She was part of the heart of that show. I mean, it was so much fun to see such a cynical character kind of find that perfect opposite love interest that was just fun and playful to kind of, for her to kind of have no hope in any kind of relationship to find Andy, and how that worked was kind of a cool part of that show. Yeah. But that show is like, it's sad I discovered it so late in life. I wish I watched it when it was first airing, because seeing it, I guess because I binge watched it, I love it that much more too, because I didn't have to wait week to week. And I just kind of binge watched it because I found it on Netflix about a month before they decided to take it off the air. Can I tell you that story?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I would, like, me and Kayla and Susan were binge watching. Susan really didn't have an interest until like we started just like laughing constantly at this show, and so she finally bought into it. The end was cool, but Parks and Rec to me was like one of my top 5 favorite shows.
Wow!
But we binge watched it so fast because we saw that at the end of October they're taking it off of Netflix, and I'm going no. So we were there that last day with the last 2 episodes to watch.
Wow.
At midnight, it cut out on me. There was 2 episodes left.
Oh, no.
Yes, so they went strictly to Peacock after that. And so I had to download the Peacock app and watch it with ads for the first time, and I was so pissed off.
Okay.
I'm going, oh my, I can't deal. There's 2 episodes left, and I can't speed through these ads. Are you kidding me? And it was just, I was that much invested where I sat there and going, okay, God, dude, it's like, I just gotta, I gotta get through the ads because I want to see how this ends. And it was one of the best endings I think I've seen of any TV show that's ever happened.
Well, before I address that, I just want to say, how spoiled are we as a society that like
I know.
handle a couple of ads? Like it's
Isn't that horrible?
Crazy inconvenience. Like that wasn't just a part of TV, before this modern era of binge
for 70
watching.
years, everybody watched ads, and now we're spoiled within 3 years of having to have to watch ads again.
So I don't remember the last couple of episodes of Parks and Rec, but I remember hating the whole final season.
I've kind of got a theory about the whole Scarlet Witch leading into Doctor Strange that a customer pointed out to me.
Okay.
And I still need to go through and rewatch the Doctor Strange movie all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, Baron Mordo felt Doctor Strange betrayed him. And what if the person behind Agatha Harkness is actually Baron?
Interesting. He said there are too many sorcerers.
Yes. And to kind of more or less neutralize Scarlet Witch, or to try to figure out what this new magic is that they don't understand and get control of it before Doctor Strange does.
Wow. That is a great theory. I don't even think I would be disappointed with that.
Yeah, and it makes sense because it fits within the continuity of them setting up, like, what's Baron Mordo going to go do to counter Doctor Strange? He's going to try harnessing a magic that Doctor Strange does not know.
Wow. I love that. I would love that. I wouldn't even be upset. It totally makes sense. I mean, one of these people is probably going to show up before the end, right? Doctor Strange, Mordo, something.
Absolutely, because I said too, it stays, once again, we talked about earlier about how MCU is staying within their continuity. Mm-hmm. They're not straying too far off into just what the comics told us in the past. And they're staying within their own continuity the same way comic book. There is loose ends, and since Doctor Strange is kind of like a peripheral part of the story, he's a major, character inside of the movie cinematic universe. But his story was just mostly, we thought, to set him up to have him inside of the end of the Avengers. Do you know what I mean? Not the fact of like they're actually developing more story for him. And, Baron Mordo walking away through a time portal, vowing revenge against Stephen Strange for his betrayal. This could be that thread that's been hanging there, that's been set up into the next movie. And they're using Scarlet Witch as that vehicle to get to the next Doctor Strange movie, which they've already said she's a main character.
Yeah.
And so WandaVision could be that thread that gets us bridged, obviously, to the Doctor Strange movie. And even more, what I loved about Agatha Harkness, touch on this yet, I apologize, but the Agatha Harkness, the way that she walked Scarlet Witch through her memories is almost like a reflection of what Scarlet Witch did to the Avengers when she showed them their future.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So a witchcraft ability that obviously Scarlet Witch has had. So this whole WandaVision show has been Agatha arguably showing us what's to come in the MCU future through trying to find out what Scarlet Witch, how she does this. And she's kind of like tapped into Scarlet's brain, do you know what I mean? Trying to influence of what she's doing or trying to figure out what she's doing or how she's doing it. But at the same time, we're seeing the hints of mutants with Quicksilver. We're seeing the hints of Mephisto with all of the darkness that's been happening inside of this TV series. We've seen the hints of nightmares because we're living through Scarlet Witch's nightmares too as well. So Nightmare is a possible character that shows up in future Doctor Strange movies. The time reference of everything, of her like revisiting a better time in her life as a hint of Cain. And so the same way that's and Scarlet Witch kind of doing that to the Avengers when she was being manipulated by oh my gosh, dude, who was Von Strucker, right?
Yeah.
That when the first meeting she had with the Avengers was under Von Strucker, not Ultron, correct? It was an Ultron by that point. So it was Ultron by that point.
Like immediately.
Okay, that's right. So it was Ultron manipulating her to try to take down the Avengers. By doing so, she showed him a vision that was supposed to just distract him, but it was actually. And so maybe Agatha was kind of doing that same type of hex with Scarlet Witch to try to find out how her powers work, but at the same time was showing us, do you know what I mean, more or less as the hints of what's to come in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. So you weren't in the last episode. Do you have any ideas about that book that Agatha has? Because they touched on it, and I feel like that has to come back around.
Okay. From rumors that I've heard, once again, talked about in the store from customers they mentioned to me, is that book was missing on Doctor Strange's shelf.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've read that or heard that before. And so that's maybe, once again, that connection to Doctor Strange is maybe Baron Mordo gave her that book.
Yeah. I mean, I think the three theories of the book are the missing Doctor Strange book, the Darkhold, but the only problem with that is it already showed up in both Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Marvel's Runaways.
Okay.
So why would it show up again? I mean, maybe it does, but does it? I haven't seen it appear in either of those. I know it did, but I haven't seen it in those, and I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if it looks different now. So why would it look different? The only other thing is the Necronomicon, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, which is also in the Marvel universe. The interesting thing about that theory, and I don't think we've talked about it on Nightcap Chat yet, is you know who owns the Necronomicon in Marvel? That's related to Agatha and all of this.
Wow. No, who owns that?
Yeah, this is a character I can't even tell you who this character is, but it's a character named Rolf.
Rolf.
Yeah. And who has Agatha been saying her husband's name is?
Ralph, right?
So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that makes sense.
So that makes sense then too. Yes.
I mean, maybe. We'll see.
Wow.
Maybe it's a little bit of everything. Maybe the truth
is
all of these, or at least a part of these things. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. So before we wrap up, there's just one episode of WandaVision left. Are we still going to get Mephisto? Are we still going to get mutants? Are we still going to get Magneto? Like, what do you think?
I don't see Magneto anymore. I wish I did, but I think it's, once again, dude, if anything, it's Agatha's manipulation of Scarlet Witch in this has given us future echoes of what's to come in the cinematic universe.
Okay.
And same way that Scarlet Witch once again did it to the other Avengers inside of Age. But when the roles are reversed, he doesn't know what's happening. Like, they didn't know what was happening when Scarlet Witch put that hex on them inside of the Avengers movie. It just kind of, they had these visions. But Agatha is a refined witch.
Mm-hmm.
She knows everything that she's doing. And we found out in this is like Agatha was coming to the conclusion is like, you have no clue what you're doing. You're just an amateur. Yet you have all of this power at your hands. You're the Scarlet Witch. And, you know, like, you're using this magic that no one can figure out called chaos magic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a witch for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, she's refined things that not even her family members wanted.
Yeah.
Because she got into the dark arts as much as the regular witch arts. Do you know what I mean? She's fascinated by any form of witchcraft that's out there. And that's why she's fascinated with the Scarlet Witch, is like she's practicing something that can't be explained.
Yeah.
And whether she's working with director Hayward, and Hayward sent her in there because he had to find another witch that he felt could manipulate Scarlet into coming out. Do you know what I mean? Kind of alleviating the hex. Or that it's just Agatha sensed this magic that is happening that she was fascinated by, and she wants to master it herself. And but then when she came to the realization that Scarlet hasn't even tapped into what she can do, that's where it's really kind of scary to see how young Scarlet Witch is in her potential. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know what it is about what you just said that gave me this epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like chaos magic. Like, what is that? Like, what is chaos magic in relation to Marvel? And then it suddenly hit me. Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos is one of the cosmic beings, right?
Ah, yes.
I wonder what that has to do with it.
Well, that's like she got her powers amplified by the Infinity Gem.
Yeah.
In that one scene when they walk through the door, is like that, oh, you were just, dabbling in witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And then you came into contact with an Infinity Gem,
mm-hmm.
and you're able to, it didn't destroy you, you harnessed it.
Yeah.
And not even realizing that you were harnessing it. And was it her harnessing it, or was it changing her? And that's, like, I think, a big question of how Scarlet Witch's powers work too. Did it amplify her? Or was it just like that she is so in tune with witchcraft as a whole that she doesn't even really need to understand it to be able to harness and control it and manipulate it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think is the most fascinating thing I saw from Agatha Harkness. Wow, you have no clue what you are, yet you're able to do all this.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think we're going to see Agatha kind of become a mentor.
Yeah.
Whether or not Agatha's being mind controlled by someone or not, or she's going to be her nemesis at first. Every good nemesis hero friendship starts with a battle first.
Yeah.
Inside of comics. And so even though Agatha's looking like the bad guy right now, every time there's a Marvel team up, Spider-Man meeting Power Man, they had a battle first and then realized like that, oh, we're on the same page,
Yeah.
let's go forward. So
Yeah.
we may see that happen with the Witch and Agatha, is that I don't understand you, but I don't understand how you can do things I can't because I am the Master Witch and you're just a clueless person manipulating things I have no clue even exist.
Yep.
And that's to me like super fascinating about how this is going to play out. I mean, we may see a short battle, but Hayward coming in with the Vision may create the ally right there with him. Yep. And then to try to more or less save the day and save Vision. And Vision's still in that reality. Even though this other robot Vision's there, the Vision that's in her reality is still there in the story tell. And so it's going to be like Vision, Scarlet Witch, and Agatha Harkness possibly against the Vision and Hayward's men in this final episode coming here.
I hope so, and I hope they don't. I hope they don't waste Agatha like they've wasted like other.
I don't think they will. She's way too likable. Yeah. That's another actress that once again we were talking about Parks and Rec earlier. She was in Parks and Rec too as well.
And I told you like this isn't her first Marvel property either. For those of you who don't know, Catherine Hahn. Am I saying her name? Is it Catherine Hahn?
I think so. I said too. It's like
Catherine Hahn. She played is it Olivia Octavius? Dr. Olivia Octavius in
Into the Spider-Verse.
The female Dr. Octopus that they had in there, and she was awesome. She was probably my favorite character in that whole thing. Like I don't know what it was about it. I mean, the movie was okay. Like I think it's a little overrated, but I love that character. She was really charming in that, and she's great as this D-list character. She makes it lovable. I bought a shirt,
Yes.
I really hope they're not throwing her away.
I don't think they will. I think there's so much potential for as characters to go forward. I mean, even oh my gosh, dude. I want to say Darcy. I'm just forgetting her name right. Was it Darcy? Yeah. Like I hope she gets powers now because that's something else we didn't even touch on. Is Monica Rambeau became Captain Marvel in these past two episodes?
She definitely did.
Or Photon, or Spectrum, or whatever they want to call it.
That's another part of this final battle. Like who's going to end up on what team, and who's going to be fighting? Is everyone going to be fighting Vision, or
is Spectrum going to take the side of Director Hayward? Is she going to turn on Hayward? Do you know what I mean? And it's like that. It's kind of its own version of Endgame right now happening in WandaVision.
Interesting. Yeah, sure. I still think we will get like Mephisto, even if it's just like after the credits, because that flashback to the Salem witch trials, they were upset with her for doing something.
Yes, she tapped into dark magic, was what
exactly. So
pretty much they're hinting at there.
What is that? That's gotta be Mephisto.
Yes, or at least leading to the pathway to Mephisto. For
sure,
I said too. I think there's things too, like they're laying the bird seed to get to our high point of the what's going to be the next big bad. And I think you're right. Mephisto's going to be that big bad by time it's said and done. Because I think Kang's like, he's a step, but I don't think he's the big bad of the story coming to us. And I just think that he's just going to be one of the cool villains inside of Ant-Man. Time travel with the time variant. Loki. I think that you're right. They're leading to Mephisto being a ultimate villain of what is happening here with multiple dimension realities and trying to take over as much as he can.
So I like what you said, but I personally think, and I hope that it's what you're saying, but it is still Kang as we'll call it like the Thanos big bad. But but Mephisto, I hope, is kind of that stepping stone and is more of kind of how Loki has been in multiple.
Oh, I see.
You see what I'm
saying?
So
like the god of mischief.
He's the bad guy here.
Yes.
And then something else happens, so like, but maybe that sets up Kang. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope they don't relegate Kang to just an Ant-Man bad guy, because I think that's a waste of Kang.
Oh yeah, I think Kane, like you said too, Kane could also be that Loki person for you. He's always coming in and out, because of time wise,
Yeah.
because he's a time master.
Yeah.
And then I hope that Kane is a long term bad guy. I don't want to see him be a one off villain either. And that's kind of the cool thing about these Marvel Cinematic villains is, other than we may see Thanos again, but other than Thanos, I don't think anyone's totally gone except him and Obadiah Stane. Do you know what I mean, from the Iron Man, because he actually died, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, so as far as villains they wasted, they killed off Strucker unceremoniously.
Okay.
He was after the credits scene, and then he was in the opening.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
They also,
like Crossbones, they killed off too as well, right?
Well, yeah, they did, but I would argue he was hanging out in, was it Winter Soldier, like the whole time, right? And then he also appeared in the beginning of Civil War where they killed him.
Yes.
So I would argue that like he did other things too in between that. So that's not quite as bad. Batroc was a little one and done, but he's not dead. And we know he's going to be in the next Falcon and Winter Soldier show, right? Mandarin, we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
But apparently they're going to fix it. Oh, well they quickly killed the night, not the night elf, the dark elf, right?
Oh yeah, from Thor.
Mm-hmm. What happened to Surtur, which is just a sin, because he kind of got the eternal flame and then ran away. But like we never dealt with that. Like Surtur is a problem.
Yeah.
He's a big bad. But he's just running around doing something right now. Like we need to figure that out. Like I feel like they disrespected Surtur there, but they killed off Hela.
Yes, that's kind of crazy too.
That's nuts. That's what I mean. That's what I meant with this Agatha thing. Like I don't want them to just be like, we're done. No.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this with Loki. Loki's died like 5 times, right? And he's still running around.
Yeah, I think Agatha will be with us for a while. I mean, it would be very disappointing too if they kill the right. Very, very disappointing.
Yep, I completely agree. And I haven't liked a Marvel character this much, or at least a new one in a long time.
I got a question for you real quick too. Yeah. Now, I don't think the twins are there.
Oh, okay. I'm so glad you're gonna bring up that. I was going to ask you that. And I forgot. Do you think the twins are going to survive this? So I guess So you don't think they're there? I agree with that. They're not real. They're not getting out of this. Whatever they are, they're not going to be at the end of this next season.
Because they didn't show up, or the voices of them, until Agatha prompted the voices to be there for them. Yep. And they walked outside. It's like they're on Agatha's leashes, more or less. I think that symbolism, like that, they've always been on her leashes. This is something that she created, like with the cicada to the rat to feed the rabbit. I mean, everything. Like she's mastered. I said too, going back to that whole mastery of witchcraft is so far behind Scarlet's comprehension, even though Scarlet's abilities are so beyond Agatha's abilities in a whole, just untapped.
Yeah.
It's just like it's really fascinating to see these like witches, what someone doesn't know but has the capability of doing.
And that they called them. I told you guys a few episodes ago, like Quicksilver called them demon spawns or whatever. Yeah. Talking about the devils in the details. Like these, they're not making it out of this. Like their characters may come back some way somehow down the road, but this is going to be the last tragedy for Scarlet Witch, and she is going to snap. Like now she's on top of losing her parents, her brother, and her husband. She's going to lose her kids. At the end. That's going to be.
I'd still freak out if at the end Magneto shows up, walks away.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to happen. That would still freak me out. It's like saying, "Here is your true family." I'm sorry, I haven't been here, but you're not a human. You're not a witch. You're a mutant. Like let's go for it. Even if it's like Professor X and Magneto together, something stupid like that, where it's like they are welcoming home their family, and that's what this House of M is. It's the House of Mutants is being born for the first time. And I said too, that's just far-fetched fantasy, it seems like at this point, but I still think that would be a great way to tie this whole thing up.
Well, wasn't it one of the House of M? Wasn't it a variant cover with her face in the blocks, the red blocks?
Yes.
And that was it was the same kind of red blocks when she was building the house. It was very reminiscent of that House of X cover. So it's on the radar. So we'll see what's happening. I don't know what I've expected up until this point. I don't understand why the last 2 episodes haven't been an hour after everyone has been saying it. What happened? And we don't have to answer this question, and there's nobody to even answer this question. But we were promised 6 hours of WandaVision, which is great, and there were 6 1-hour episodes. That changed like 2 weeks before it premiered to these 9 half-hour episodes, but then these last ones are supposed to be an hour. I just don't understand why it's never consistent, why we never just had a definitive... I don't know what I'm getting at, but I just don't understand why the information constantly changed, because there's only one fact, so...
I don't know, understand.
Was it changing? I want to interview Kevin Feige, and I want to get to the bottom of this, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Is there maybe the fact that it did so well, they decided to re-edit it to get it closer to the Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier, to try to have like that no leeway, just going from, okay, we're going to go from show to show with no break. And that way we have that audience enthralled, and we're going to grow subscribers too, because people are still talking about it. There's no break in talk you don't want to miss anything. You don't want to stop your subscription because of WandaVision.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Maybe
that has something to do with it?
I totally get that, and maybe, but everything... What's weird is like we've had X amount of decades of just the own episodes, so what would it have been otherwise if we didn't do like the 60s here and the 70s here and the 80s here and then the 90s here and the 2000s, plus episode 4 was by itself and episode 8 had no decade. So were decades combined? Was it edited? You see what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like, what was it before this then, if that's the case? It's just weird to think about, and it doesn't matter. I just don't understand what happened.
Maybe we'll get like a director's cut if it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray of like that, what it was intended to be versus actually finished off at.
Yeah, there was gonna be roughly like 2 episodes per episode. Anything else before we wrap this up, Ken?
No, it's been a great episode. I said too, I was like looking forward to see this finale, and it's here, the last week of WandaVision. It's I'm gonna miss the tales of the Vision and Scarlet Witch. And it's almost like a graduation. Do you know what I mean? Go through those informative years of learning everything that is thrown in front of you. Then you have to say your goodbye until it's time to meet again. And that's what it kind of like feels like is happening here in this WandaVision show. Yeah, it's kind of a weird analogy, but it's kind of feel like that we've come to this journey, and we've like kind of gone on this educational journey with Scarlet Witch about what life means, and we're coming to the farewell moments of the show.
Yeah, and
until next time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope this is it for this. I don't care if they do more Scarlet Witch and Vision shows, but as far as the way this season has been going, I think this needs to be it for it to be special.
Yes,
which is fine. And the way this last episode, if it's as good as the rest of everything and we get some cool reveals, this is going to be my favorite MCU thing ever.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
And who would have said that before the show started?
I have no idea.
This is supposed to be just like a bridge gap show to show us what's happening next, kind of, or the next thing after the MCU Endgame. But for what it's, I guess, Spider-Man Far From Home was the first thing after Endgame. But
it was an epilogue to Phase 3.
Yeah, and this is leading us into phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think it would be that kind of, man, dude, I guess you could say kickoff into, that, yeah, that important of a limb to the tree. Do you know what I mean? It's like the trunk of the tree. It's not the limb of the tree. It's actually the trunk of the tree, and all the limbs are going to grow off of this.
Yep.
Is what it feels like, what we're seeing here. And it's just been absolutely amazing, of beyond expectations. I mean, I said too, like, I was a big fan of Mandalorian, but I like this more than Mandalorian, which is crazy to say. I never thought I would say that, but I do enjoy this more than actually enjoy the Mandalorian.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, this has been awesome. I mean, like, it's made me even more of like a Scarlet Witch fan. Like, I'm interested.
Yes.
Oh, let me read some of the comics now and stuff, because I never read much of, like, I know Scarlet Witch and like I know her history and stuff, but like she's never a character I closely followed, like Deadpool or Dazzler or Domino, or Cable, anything like that. So it's been fun. It's been fun to learn too as we go. But yeah, let us know what you think of WandaVision. What are your hopes and dreams for this final episode? Let us know on social media. We're at Nightcap Chat on Facebook and Twitter, and Nightcap_chat on Instagram.
Yes, and thanks again, you guys, all for listening. This WandaVision topic has been absolutely unbelievable discussion topics, and you can follow more from me at Drawn to Comics at drawntocomics.com, on Drawn to Comics on Instagram, and Drawn to Comics on Facebook and Twitter. But then also in person, come by and say hi at Drawn to Comics physical brick and mortar store in downtown Glendale, 5801 West Glendale Avenue. And look forward to having more WandaVision chats with you before and after the show.
Yep, one more week of this left next week. Excited to bring that to you. But appreciate you all so much. Thank you for listening. We love you. Be safe. We will catch you all next week.
Thank you.